Hello everyone. It's been a while since you've heard from me. I feel like, well, it's not that I haven't had a lot to say, because it's impossible for me, but because I choose to do these videos with the utmost authenticity, I guess I probably only share when I feel it's totally in alignment. So perhaps I've been a little bit busy getting myself into alignment since I sold my business in June. There's a big, I guess, adjustment for me to come back into trying to learn what was myself after running a business, offering so many healing things because I needed to save the world. Lesson one: the world doesn't need saving. Um, but yeah, it's been a long 6 months and a beautiful 6 months of having the time for myself to grow. And part of that growth is why I'm doing this video today, because today, or just half an hour ago, I realized a massive karmic cycle for me that I am working on bringing to an end now. We are coming to a point with 2020 and obviously January being on steroids quite a bit. We're now coming into that energy quite strongly to have the ability to clear our karmic past and to clear all of the things that we don't have to keep cycling through like we have before. And for me, one of the big things that I've had to deal with in the last probably 10 years, but like a majority of it would be from... Could you shut the door, babe? Is that okay? Yes, please. I'm sorry. So not only just the past 10 years, but I've recognized this cycle throughout my life now, which I found really poignant. But in the last 10 years, I have gained this rash on my face that came up after doing a huge detox from my past life, not my past life, but my past chapter of this life. And I was incredibly toxic from the lifestyle that I lived, and I didn't do the detox correctly, and it did a lot of damage to my internal systems, in which I ended up getting parasites and things like that, which I was ashamed of. So I tried to cover it up instead of healing it. So which in turn, obviously, when you have parasites in your body for a longer period of time, it causes more harm than good. So that did damage to my gut again, and which in turn, I started reacting to basically everything and anything. And it had been a really distressing time for me for 10 years because I felt like shame, because I was working with people in the health industry. I was working with getting people healthy, so I had this idea of how can I help other people with this if I don't look healthy myself. I also felt like I was being dishonest with people, which was ridiculous. I would spend a lot of time worrying about covering it up and feeling shame about that. And then today I had this epiphany, and the statement covering it up is my karmic cycle that needs to shift. Because if I look back on my life, there's so many different chapters where I have felt shame and guilt for being who I am, or believing who I thought I was, more importantly, and that it wasn't okay, therefore I had to cover it up. And I will go back to my childhood, you know, after a situation with sexual abuse and the shame and guilt that I felt around that, as most people do. So what do? I try and cover it up. By covering it up and not talking about it and doing anything about it, created an anxiety, which I ended up, you know, being riddled with for 20 years because I continually tried to cover up certain situations that had occurred, but also my true self. Like at no point was I allowing my true self to come, because I was covering it up. I was so afraid of myself in the thoughts that I had about myself. So covering it up created the anxiety, which I then covered up. So many people don't even know I had it. When I talk to people about it, they still don't believe it. I had ideas that my body wasn't amazing because of comments that were made to me. So due to probably the sexual abuse, and then being told that my body wasn't as nice as I thought it should have been, I ended up wearing a lot of baggy clothes in my late teens because I wanted to cover it up. And I remember a friend saying to me once, I went and had a spa at her house, and I took my clothes off and was in my bathers, and she's like, holy fuck, why are you covering up that body? And I couldn't understand what she was saying because I felt such shame and guilt and I needed to cover it up. Then I went through, not just went through, for quite some time in my late teens and early 20s. I was very emotional and unsure of why I felt so different to other people, and I would cry myself to sleep sometimes. I remember crying to my brother-in-law going, what's wrong with me? You know, why can't I like men? Like, why can't I do what everyone else is doing? This is quite emotional. And I realized that I was distorting myself. Give me a moment. This is good, isn't it? I realized that I was distorting myself because, again, I was trying to cover myself up, my true self. And I felt ashamed about not feeling like everyone else. I felt ashamed about why couldn't I just be the same as everyone? Why could, with everything I've done, even though I wasn't different, I just saw myself as different, but I tried for so long to cover up, the shame and the guilt about liking females. So even when I discovered the beauty of it and the joy of it, I still didn't feel like I could be me in it because I felt like I had to cover it up. And so then it comes back again to, I guess, even when I was in my 20s, that belief I had of myself for being so ugly. If people gave me a compliment, I would tell them to get fucked. And that was a really quick response. I was like, fuck off, because I thought they were tricking me. I really love myself right now for saying all of this, because saying it makes me realize, everything that I've tried to hide from, everything that I've tried to run from within myself. And it's me. Why would I run from me? I spend all this time helping people, and I'm so grateful to my partner for pushing me into this space through love, and I'm so grateful to all of you guys, all of my clients, for allowing me to take you on this journey, allowing me to watch you step up to the plate doing this stuff, so I could no longer sit back and, I guess, not do it myself, So I'm so grateful to all of you for sharing all of your shameful thoughts, all of your guilty thoughts, all of your self-worth thoughts, and all of the things that I have been allowed and honoured to help you through. And now it's an incredibly cathartic process for me. So I make a promise to myself and to everyone, but mostly to myself, to show me now and to not feel I need to be anything other than my truth, anything other than what I am. And I'm choosing to break this karmic cycle of needing to cover up a part of myself because I feel like I can't accept it, because other people won't accept it, but no one has to accept me except for me. So I'm promising myself today to accept me wholeheartedly and love me as much as I've loved and love all of you, because as with most people, it's so easy for us to love others and help others, and we get so much food and nourishment from doing that, and it makes us feel good. But we can't forget ourselves, and we know that we have to come first, because that's the universal law, love of self first and then others. So I will be whole from now on in putting myself, my true self forward, and I feel honoured that I get to see me, and I hope you enjoy seeing me. And yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start to the new decade, and this is no resolution. This is my life's promise, and part of my life's work. So thank you for listening. I love you. I love me. And I love to continue on this journey of fucking rawness. Like, let's get raw. Hopefully people can watch this video and go, what can I share with people that stops this vulnerable cycle of shit that I feel I need to cover up? Because we don't need to cover things up anymore. There's no time to cover this shit up anymore. There's no time. So thank you, everyone that I've ever had the privilege of working with, to show me that. and to my really supportive partner that beautifully, with her loving strength, pushes me into these spaces because she sees me. And she sees me before I do. So perhaps we can all have a cup of tea together now. Her, me, and her. Anyway, but thank you for listening. And I hope that there is something in this for you that can get you to see yourself in a different light. And let's just love the fuck out of ourselves so we can really truly connect with people as a whole and love the fuck out of life. It's time. Thank you for listening.